So right when the game happened and the Bryce Hall, game-winning play happened in the Jets game, my girlfriend was sending a voice memo to her friend about their yoga Instagram page, and she left the room to send it, which was very kind of her. But she wasn't far enough, obviously, because this is what happens. So I'll play it out loud real quick.
And mobility can help you, mobility can help something with the spine. And then, check the caption for more. So sorry. So sorry if you can't hear me. Go. Team, just score.
The game-winning touchdown. Let's fucking go, he says.
I don't think you should ever apologize for
No.
being passionate. I love that she caught that beautiful moment for you.
Fucking Jets up north, baby.
Shout out, Lindsay.
Shout out. Go. Welcome back. Jets up north. We have Adam back.
I'm back. I found my way home.
After so much requests. The comments were flooded last week.
They were like, "What happened to him?
I miss him." People hate change. We're back in the old setup.
Yeah, we're back, baby.
Don't worry. Mom and Dad didn't split up. We're still here.
We're okay.
But Adam took a little vacation. He told me off the record that the losses, were too much for him, and he just needed some time away before we did another podcast episode. And I was like, "Do what you need to do.
Yeah,
take your time."
I backpacked.
Yeah, toured across Europe
I
over
did.
this last week. Soul searched. Took some mushrooms in a forest. Had a spirit journey quest type deal.
I'm back though.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad to be back with you.
Heck yeah, man! And the Jets freaking won.
I know, dude. It's a great time. Look at me. I'm wearing my Jets merch again.
I know. He didn't have to take off some clothes.
It was
week
gonna
by
get
week.
bad.
Yeah.
I'd be pantsless.
I know. The other sock,
Yeah,
right?
the other sock.
First things first. Here in Canada, it was Thanksgiving. So really quickly, Adam, tell me about your Thanksgiving. How was it?
Yeah, it was a good time. I got to spend some time with my family, and there's a few family members I don't see super regularly, so
Yep.
it was really nice to catch up with them. And there's a few people in my family who are just like maestros in the kitchen. They just make
the best.
the best food.
What's your favorite pie? Like your apple pie, pumpkin pie?
Yeah. I want to say apple, but I like a good pumpkin pie can definitely usurp an apple pie for me. I'd say pumpkin pie has a higher ceiling.
Like you would take if you could have your dream one, it's a pumpkin pie, but if it was average, you would take an apple pie. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Nice, good choice.
Yeah.
I'm always a pumpkin pie guy. As a kid, I didn't like whipped cream on it, but now I like.
Oh,
like a
dude,
good
yeah, that
but
changes.
not too much.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good.
How
mix
was your
there.
Thanksgiving, dog?
It was good, man. It was peachy. I went back home to see the parents. We got to watch the Jets game as a family. I'm the only Jets fan, so we're sitting there in the morning, watching Red Zone and the other games, and I'm like, frick, I just want the game to start.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a good game. Lindsay watched it with me. My parents are billeting a hockey player right now. He's from Poland.
Oh, really?
His name's Christoph.
What?
And I got to tell him before the game.
Yeah.
He got to see my excitement of watching a football game during the morning slate. And then the right before we went up and had a bite and we went hot tubbing, and then before the Jets game, I'm like, just so you know, Christoph, you're about to see another side of me. and he laughs, and my girlfriend and my mom were giving looks no, he's serious.
yeah, he's not joking.
And man, every time I was yelling during the game or freaking out or whatever or reacting, he was just laughing. But he thought it was great. I was like, man, that's what sports are about. It's passion, is what he said. So
yeah, it's an outlet. Too.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, he gets it. He's from Poland in Europe, and he said people literally will if you go to a stadium wearing the other team's jersey, you will get beaten up. So it was a perfect Thanksgiving. You're a lot to be thankful for when the Jets pull off a dub. So we're sitting here 2-3. The world's our oyster. Man, 2-3 feels a lot better than 1-4.
It does, man.
So it feels good. So let's just jump into it, man. Yeah. Overall, what were your just off the top of your hat big takeaways this game?
Okay, I've talked about it a lot in previous episodes about how all I want to see is exciting football.
Yeah,
and we finally kind of got a game that was exciting.
Yeah,
edge of your seat.
It felt like it took 4 years off of my life.
Did,
but
I take that over the boring.
The Cowboys game or the Patriots game.
Patriots game. Oh,
yeah.
It's just you waste 2.5 hours of your life. And it just drains your energy, and you're like, great, now I have to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whereas
Sunday
like a game,
scaries and everything.
Sunday scaries just activate instantly.
Oh man.
Whereas a game like this, you're like, hey, Monday doesn't seem too bad.
There's a lot to talk about this game.
Yeah.
It was a banger. There was countless storylines. It felt like going into that game and even leaving the game.
Oh yeah, totally.
Nothing bigger than Nathaniel Hackett getting his flowers. It was great to see the clip of CJ Uzama before hyping up the boys and being like, "Yo, like F those guys. It's about us." Like that was sick.
I love that personally.
Yeah,
I want them to like recognize that. Just for some context for our viewers who like aren't Jets fans.
Yes.
Basically, the head coach of the Broncos, the team we were playing earlier in the offseason, he called out our offensive coordinator because our offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, was their head coach the year prior. And he was pretty bad. He got canned after his first year.
Yep.
Anyways, the new head coach came into Denver. And I don't know if I'm getting this word for word, but basically he said, it was the worst coaching job ever in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
And so there was like a bit of beef here because, you know,
and Rodgers made a respond on NFL Network being like, "Yo, keep my coach's name out of your mouth."
Yeah, which is badass.
Hell yeah, my king.
So I've been talking about this in a lot of episodes.
I think every week we talk about the Broncos game, and they're not losing this game.
They're not losing this game. So like see them win, you know, kind of solidified how I felt about it.
Totally, I totally agree. That was awesome, Nathaniel Hackett. Like, coaching stuff aside, every clipping of him, he seems like such dad energy and like or uncle energy.
Yeah, and
more
he's like
so
wholesome. I know he's maybe not the like. A lot of guys aren't good head coaches, but they can be really good coordinators.
Todd Bowles, the Todd Bowles effect. Yeah.
And I'm not saying Hackett's a good offensive coordinator, but I don't know. And I was also like kind of that respect thing. Like, I don't know why you're calling out a dude. And I love
worry about your own team, you know?
Yeah, and it's I love that the Broncos look like pure ass. It's like they look like doo-doo this year. They got 70 dropped on them. Like,
that's so bad.
Like, Sean Payton looks like the worst head coach in the history of the NFL. And honestly, he deserves it. He's a piece of garbage human being.
Yeah.
Like,
I like had nothing. I was fine about Sean Payton when he was with the Saints, and then he went into broadcasting, and I was like, he wasn't. I didn't love him on TV or anything like that. But when he came to Denver, it was like right away. I was like, that was And then him talking to his team, being like, no bucket hats, no interviews in the preseason. It's like, well, man, like.
We got to pull up the pic of Garrett.
I know. That was, and Garrett getting asked after his first press conference being like, "Yo, is that like a shot at him?" And he's like, "I can't answer that. I was told not to speak on it." I'm like, "Well, that's a yes."
If I was like a professional athlete, I would always do stuff.
Bro,
like
can
that.
we bring back shit talking to professional sports?
like,
Everyone's too respectful.
Especially if I was like, this is a bit of just a random tangent, but if I was like a Mahomes level player, like an untouchable guy, like, I would just talk smack every press.
How come Brady wasn't talking more
right?
shit?
Like, you could just do whatever. They're not going to cut you.
Yeah.
Like, nothing's going to happen.
It just is embarrassing. I feel like everyone has a story of, like, whether it's, like, playing video games, playing high school sports, of, like, talking shit when you're, like, playing good, and then it backfiring so hard. And
I wouldn't, like, talk smack, like, against a guy I'm about to play or something.
Yeah.
But if I, like, kick someone's ass, I would be like, they suck.
Only can talk shit when you're, when you're safe from
I would just, like, call out random people. Like, I wouldn't care. Or, like, I just troll. Like, it doesn't matter, you know?
I love it. Yeah, so one other thing, it seems like when the Jets go to Denver, it seems like we can't have nice things. We lost our boy, Elijah Vera Tucker,
for a soul
to the Achilles. The crazy thing about it is that, like, he was walking to the locker room.
Yeah.
The reports were, like there wasn't, like, official, like, there's potential that it's a calf strain and it's, like, 4 to 6 weeks or something. And you're like, oh, sweet. Like, the fact that it's not season ending, you're, like, pumped for. But the report came out today that it was an Achilles. Man, what a warrior. He played another snap after that.
Yeah.
Like, that's
shout out.
Insane, man. He's going to bounce back strong. He's still, like, young. He's like, we're seeing Becton do literally now the same thing. After a strong rookie season, having back-to-back injury, like season-ending injuries, like, we're seeing how Becton, he's been a warrior this year. Let's hope that, AVT can come back next year.
It just hurts to not have, like, consistency on the O-line.
I know. And just when things were, like, getting better.
I know, they were finally, like,
meshing
and gelling a bit. It's too bad.
We've both been on the record for being pro Max Mitchell, though. So I mean, I have faith that he can come in and not, like, even just deliver, like, just be average. Like, you can, even if he gives up a sack here and there, I'm totally okay with that. Like,
Yeah.
It's you can't get much worse than Dwayne Brown against Dallas in week 2.
God,
So
don't even get me started, man.
So we're wishing him the best for AVT. It
Yeah.
seems like now if we ever play Denver in Denver that we should just
Rest everyone.
pull in all the backups
Yeah.
to get hurt. And yeah, they can put us on the
Maybe it's
field.
the
I'll
air.
tear my
I
my
don't know.
Achilles on
The
that turf. I don't
elevation,
care.
Yeah, I'll play, yeah.
Yeah. Looking at the stat comparison here at the Jets and Broncos, it's probably the prettiest one that we've had so far, I'd say.
Yeah.
Jets had 199 passing yards to the Broncos 196. Check. 234 rushing yards to 139. Check. Both split 4 sacks, and the Jets forced 3 turnovers, and the Broncos forced 2. The top performers easily is our boy Bryce the Beast.
Shout out Brees.
Oh man, 25 touches for a $194 and a tutter there. Funny thing, it was right after halftime.
Yeah.
I missed it. I came.
You told me that.
I was outside, just getting some fresh air, letting the dog out. Just like being like, it's halftime. Like we still got
And
time.
you came back and you were like, oh.
My phone was blowing up, and I had to come back inside. And I'm like, oh my gosh! And I'm like, I gotta go on Twitter and watch the replay.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I mean, my vocal.
That's the worst when you got to go on Twitter and like search like Brees Hall.
I just hit refresh a couple
Yeah,
times,
and
and it was
you found it, yeah.
oh yeah, it was a sweet run. I mean, the universe was doing my vocal cords a favor because
I've
probably would have.
joked, and it's not fair to the team at all. But like I've just joked about it, but it does kind of sometimes feel like the blueprint for us to win is like Brees or Garrett ripping like a 70-yarder at
Just
some
something
point in the
crazy
game.
like that.
They just like put the
But they're
team
those
on their
guys
back.
that can do it.
Oh,
Actually,
totally, and
we're not
that's-
putting our faith into David Nelson.
Oh, totally.
right?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think of a random Jeremy. Like love Jeremy Curley, but he
Jeremy
wasn't a receiver
Curley,
one. He's not
yeah.
Garrett Wilson. We're not putting our faith in him. We need
Austin
Jeremy.
Safarian James.
Bro, we need him to pop off, and Chris Ivory.
Chris
like,
Ivory.
Oh my gosh! So it's spectacular. It's almost poetic that Bryce Hall, he had 72 rushing yards last year,
Yeah.
and it was a 72-yard touchdown against
Yeah.
Denver this last
Dude,
week.
he's just different, man.
So he's special.
I also just want to like shout him out. Like he's averaging the most yards per carry in his first 12 games ever of anyone in their
I
first
saw
12
with the likes
games.
of like Franco Harris and
Yeah.
guys like that. Insane.
Like he is right now, I guess, like the
greatest running back of all
He's
time?
the most efficient running back ever
ever.
through his first 12 career games. Yeah.
Sorry, Jim Brown. Sorry, Barry Sanders.
And
Sorry.
this year alone, he's averaging like 7.07 yards or something per carry. Like that is insane.
It kind of is low key reminding me of that because of like when he got hurt last year. It's kind of giving me like Adrian Peterson MVP vibes, where like he came back after an ACL tear
Yeah.
and took over the league.
I don't want
somehow.
to keep like ranting while we're talking about the top performers here,
That's
but like
fine.
I think it's because his game is very like vertical and vision based.
He runs so good.
He does need to cut, but because
He's a
not
one
as-
cut guy though.
He's not as reliant on like the shiftiness.
Yeah.
It doesn't his like ACL injury didn't impact his game as much because your
He's
ACL
north-south.
an ACL injury doesn't really alter your top speed.
Yeah.
It does alter your burst,
Yeah.
which we can see is coming back. But like I think just he's like the perfect running back to have the ACL injury because he's just the way his game works. It wasn't impacted as much by the injury.
His strides are crazy because it looks like he takes these long strides and he's not running that
Yeah.
fast. But I saw on Twitter that he, aside not a player who didn't play for the Miami Dolphins, he had the fastest like clock time in the season.
Which is
so
insane.
if you're not Tyreek Hill or
Yeah.
Devon A. Chain,
Yeah.
then
Or Raheem.
Raheem, then
Or Waddle.
yeah, then Bryce Hall was the fastest guy
Yeah.
this year. So absolutely was the MVP of the game.
Shout out. So good.
I'm excited for him to keep it up. Finally, he got like 25 touches.
Yeah.
Finally, he's off the snap count.
He's such a weapon.
And what's
dude.
crazy is that you didn't see it you didn't see it come to full effect. But Dalvin Cook actually had a couple reps where he came in and looked better than what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like he looked like a complimentary piece, which is what he was supposed to be. So that's exciting. And you can see how we'll talk about Zach Wilson here in a sec. But you can see how much it opened up play action later on in the
Totally,
game
dude.
and made it everything else just click when you're able to run the ball the way they did. So let's keep riding down this top performer list. I just mentioned our boy Zach Attack. He once again had a 70% completion percentage game through the one pick. We were talking about before this that if he's going to throw an interception, it's when you're throwing a one-on-one ball to Garrett Wilson. It's not like he's scrambling around and throwing up to triple coverage.
Yeah, what's the best way to word it? It was like the process was good. you just sometimes the execution just isn't.
But
what
you'll
you
take
want it to
those
be,
because
know,
guess
like,
what? There's a chance that Garrett could have made
Oh,
that
totally,
catch,
like
and that's
you-
game
I
basically.
want Zach to make those risks.
Yeah.
I don't want him doing the stupid running 30 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and then just like somewhere.
Yep.
It's like he's like Garrett down there somewhere. This time he was like, I know where Garrett is. I'm gonna put it.
Give him a
Give it
chance
to
to
him,
make the
give him a
play,
chance,
and he
yeah.
did, and it just tipped, kind of went funny into
Yeah.
Sertan, who
But,
is
like-
in a top 3 corner in this
Oh,
league's
yeah.
hands. You're fine with that.
Yeah, and like I said, I want him taking shots. Like
Absolutely.
that, so it's like
No, I
can't
agree.
be mad.
I pulled this up on StatMuse because I'm like, man, every year since Zach's been in the league, we've played Denver in Denver,
Mm-hmm.
and he's gotten progressively better each time, which is good to see. You look at it, like he threw 2 picks at a rating of 42.6, bumped it up to a 72.8 last year in that game. And then this year with 78.8, even with the interception. The one stat that I look at is look at the average.
The average
4.6
is
and
huge.
4.7, and
It's
then
very
this year
telling.
he was throwing 7.7 yards down the field, like way better. You're happy with like anything above 6, I feel.
Yeah.
Another player who had a top performer, Tyler Conklin, man. I'll circle back around to him. I'll finish out this list. But he had 4 catches, 67 yards. Quincy Williams, who's having, in my opinion, an all-pro
Dude, he
season.
looks so good, man.
9 tackles, a tackle
So
for loss,
good.
and back-to-back sacks, and a forced fumble. I didn't put it there. And then the hero of the game, Bryce Hall, coming in relief of DJ Reed. 4 tackles, a fumble recovery, and the game-winning touchdown.
I
And
saw
then
something on Bryce. He was only targeted like 3 times, and he
Yeah.
allowed like 7 yards. Or
we didn't
something
see
like
him.
That.
Last but not least, Gregory the Leggery.
Shout
5 field goals, 2 for 2 extra points. It's with all the drama that this season's brought us, it's kind of surreal that we forget the fact that the Jets have a competent kicker that you
I
don't need to
knew.
worry about.
You forget it because you just take it for granted
know.
almost, and it's like, but like we know what it's like to not have a kicker.
Oh,
It's awful.
And to like be at like
Awful.
the other team's 30-yard line and be like, can he hit this?
Yeah, right. You're like questioning constantly. Like,
So that's fantastic.
yeah, it feels good.
Circling back around to a couple of these players, Tyler Conklin. I thought he had a great game. He had
Me too.
like 4 catches for 6-7 yards. Doesn't really do justice, I feel, for like what impact we saw from him. To me, there was 2 catches that he looked fantastic. Were like over the middle. It was the one where he shimmied the one guy,
Yeah, dude, that's sick.
shook him out of his boots, man. On like the road, he just gave him a little ooh.
Yeah.
He looked like Devontae Adams against
Like he-
Preston Smith last
yeah,
night.
yeah, he's Preston Smith.
Yeah.
He
And
did.
then
which is honestly surprising because it's not like Conklin's known for
no,
being a shifty guy. He's pretty like.
I
Sick.
think he's super underrated to this
Oh
team.
yeah, and it's like the one thing I've noticed with him, like a difference from last year is there was a lot of times where Zach would throw to Conklin and he would like drop it or he would like loft it into the air.
Yeah.
I haven't seen much of that this
No,
year. I
he's
feel like
been-
he's kind of dialed in a way. Like
I think maybe they got that report, like they got that connection a little bit better.
Yeah,
to him in
honestly,
Conk's second
yeah.
year together. So
he's a good like outlet like for Zach. Like
Oh.
when
Big guy
shit's
over
hitting
the-
the fan, you can kind of
look for the dude with the tatted up sleeve,
yeah,
the black
and the
visor.
hair.
Yeah. He also had that one play on the could have been potentially game-winning drive, the last drive the Jets had on offense.
Yeah.
Where he it was a great route. It was a great read by Zach and the great job with the offensive lineman. Zach went through his first read to the left, shifted back to the right, and Conk hit that little fake post and
Yeah,
seam. I forget
yeah.
the stick and nod,
Yeah.
and hit him perfectly in stride. Conk breaks a couple tackles, bulldozes some other guys, and then his teammates come and push him for more yards. That was at that moment I was like, hey, this game's over. Obviously, it wasn't over just yet,
Yeah.
but that was a play that you're like, man, that was. All around, everyone did their job to complete perfection, and that was what that play resulted in. Was like a huge chunk game that
Oh, yeah.
could have iced it.
That's the stuff you love to see, man. When
Exactly.
you're watching, it just makes you feel good.
Yep. But Quincy Williams, man, he has been a spectacle to watch.
I've loved his evolution from being he's
Just a
Quinton
big
Williams'
hitter.
brother.
Yeah.
So we kind of brought him in just as almost like maybe a favor. Maybe like Saleh did see something in him, but yeah, he came in just big hitter.
He was a third round draft pick for the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Sat out his rookie season with on injuries or
I
whatever,
think so,
and
yeah.
then got cut because guess what? Urban Meyer didn't want him.
yeah, which
And
is,
one man's trash, another man's treasure. And he came into this Jets team and has been every year, like you said, has gotten better. And it's special to see that he's still in his 4th year in the league, and
I
he
think
is
so.
playing at easily at a Pro Bowl level.
Yeah.
And now looking like a potential All-Pro if he can keep this up, which is just it's awesome. It's exciting, and it also makes you feel so much better that the GOAT JD signed him to what 3-year extension,
3 years,
It was
36
super,
mil or
yeah,
something
like super
that.
team friendly deal.
Yeah.
So that's been awesome. This defense did its consistent thing where little bit shaky in the first half, a lot of positives, but still shaky.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, this team in the second half just totally hunkers down on defense. So looking into next week, the New York Jets at home actually play the Philadelphia Eagles. The Jets on record have what are they 0-12?
We're 0-12 all time against the Eagles.
I think you were on the record saying that we're ending that this year. Right?
We are ending it this year. Obviously, at the time of me saying that, we had Aaron Rodgers alive and well. But you know what? I don't like the Eagles. So I'm just going to come out here and say it again. We're beating them. I don't care.
Fly, Eagles, fly. More like die, Eagles, die.
What did Denzel Mims say?
Oh,
Dirty
man.
ass.
Yeah.
City.
Let's look at some of the Jets-Eagles matchups to watch. This is a very talented Eagles offense and defense. But going down the list here is the Jets' banged-up O-line versus the Eagles' D-line. They look pretty good against Denver, but the Broncos' defense is very much different.
Yeah.
This Eagles D-line's got a good mix of youth and vets. I mean, Jalen Carter, the stuff that he's doing as a rookie already is insane.
Man.
He has the best talent around him for him to succeed. You still have guys like Fletcher Cox that are there. You have Nolan Smith, Hassan Reddick.
Yeah,
There's so many guys who are going to attack this Jets O-line. So curious to see how that goes. Will the offense continue to produce? We talked about the red zone issues.
Yeah.
There's a couple.
If we actually want to beat the Eagles, we need to be very efficient in the red zone.
Yeah.
And minimal mistakes. It has to be to beat the Eagles with a team that with Zach Wilson in charge. It's you need to. I'm not saying perfect, but you need to be on your game.
You can't have an Xavier Gibson punt or fumble on a punt return. You can't have Zach.
Yeah.
You can't have guys missing open throws every now and then. You have to capitalize.
And there can't be maybe you could get away with it, but there can't be a quarter and a half where we do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
You need to be every drive. Obviously, you're allowed to have a few 3-and-outs, but
totally.
But you can't have 4 in a row, or those that quarter where you punt, throw, pick, punt, stuff like that. You can't have that.
Aside from the Broncos game, the Jets haven't. Every game has started with them going multiple possessions down to start. It's
I know. Yeah,
it's
if that happens, the game's over.
Exactly, because the Eagles are going to be running the ball.
Exactly,
and Hurts is going to be
over.
dunking to Dallas Goedert and his receivers and weapons.
So we need to be ready to go. From the get-go.
Yeah, agreed. Jets D-line versus the Eagles offensive line.
I think that's an interesting matchup. Very
agreed.
interesting.
I'm excited to see Bryce Huff,
Me too, man.
and Quinnen. The thumbnail for this episode is Quinnen and Kelsey. Because I'm that's a fun matchup to watch.
Is a fun freaking matchup.
So I'll be watching the trenches this game. I really hope we can get some pressure on Jalen. So this Eagles O-line, in my opinion, is probably the best in the league.
Oh yeah.
They have so much. They just seem just so solid vet presence.
Yeah.
They're always healthy. They're always on the same page. It's crazy. They have their brotherly shove play. I'm curious to see if that situation, I'm sure it will, a 4th and short 1 inch comes.
I want to see Tony Adams jump over the line and
Troy
rip
Polamalu.
Hurts. He's going to do some Matrix shit over the line and grab Hurts from behind.
360.
Yeah.
Time freezes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then lastly here, Eagles playmakers versus the Jets DBs. We're hoping DJ Reed is back. I think we'll probably find out tomorrow. We're recording this on Tuesday the 10th, so hopefully by tomorrow when I'm editing this.
I want to see Sauce on AJ Brown. I think that's going to be a crazy matchup.
I'm excited. And even then, I'm excited to see what they do with they have Devonta Smith on the other side.
I want to see DJ Reed on AJ Brown too.
Yeah.
Because that guy, he's how tall is he? He's 5'9",
Yeah.
5'10". He can cover anyone.
And
crazy.
people don't think DJ Reed is as fast as he is.
He's so fast.
He's definitely improved on his speed. There's so many times last year that I remember balls being thrown deep and him having that speed to catch back up.
Yeah,
and break
he's
it up.
he doesn't look like an like a super athlete like Tyreek Hill does, but he can pace with Diggs and Gabe Davis and Tyreek. Yeah.
Overall, is there a certain kind of matchup or player that you're excited to watch this week?
Oh well, it's kind of not cheating, but obviously I'm excited to see. I want to see Garrett Wilson like just take over.
Yeah.
But it's like obviously everyone wants to see Garrett Wilson take over.
He had some tough matchups the last 2 weeks not last 2 weeks. He faced Gonzalez and he had a quieter game, and then this last week he had Sertan, which is a tough matchup as well.
Oh, totally. Oh, okay. Honestly, maybe I want to see Joe Tippmann versus Carter and Fletcher
Hell
Cox,
yeah.
because he's an up and coming guy for us. How many pressures has he allowed so far? Like 3 since becoming a starter.
Joe Tippmann? I'm
Yeah.
not too sure.
Like I don't even know. I don't think it's very high. Like,
No,
the number's
and I
pretty
know
low.
his grades and stuff has been good.
So I want to see him go against like an interior D line like
I wanna
that. Like,
that block that he made on the Bryce Hall touchdown is insane.
So sexy.
We could have ran through that hole.
Oh,
we
yeah.
We could have skipped through it.
Oh yeah, I could have like jogged,
Could've
like
moonwalked
lightly.
through
Yeah,
that.
literally. Like the guy's
Gritty.
he's
through
pretty
it.
sick, man.
No, so it's exciting. What's nice about this is that we're playing a team that we've never ever beaten.
I know.
So guess what? In my head, I'll be like, you know what? It's kind of, to me, it's like the Chiefs game, because the Eagles are one of the best in the league. It's like,
Yeah.
if we can just leave that Chiefs game the way that, or the Eagles game the way we left the Chiefs game,
Yeah.
I'll be okay. We can go into the bye at, what would we be, 2-4? You can do
Yeah.
that. But man, going in 3-3, if we go in 3-3, I'm probably putting bets on us
After
making
who we
playoffs.
played?
Yeah.
Like yeah, me too.
Totally. With like that we always knew going into this year that this first, up until the bye, that part of the schedule was a slaughter.
It was
Like
a gauntlet.
yeah,
man. Like,
if you would have said, "Are you happy with 3-3 with Rodgers?" We would have been like, "Hell yeah, dude!"
yeah, we talked about
Could
that.
you
I think we
imagine
even
if-
talked about that in an earlier episode.
Yeah,
like, when we were
could-
predicting our records. And
right. It's a litmus test to see if this team is like legit. We've
Yeah.
had moments leading up to this that you're like, "Oh, maybe they can compete and actually, be a playoff team this year." But this will actually kind of prove that. So
100% agree with you. Like also, the Eagles are 5-0. They are undefeated, but they do not look the same as they did last year when they were
couple close
dominating.
calls.
Yeah. So like, any given Sunday, man, maybe some crazy stuff happens.
I feel like that's been said every single episode.
I know, but
But
like,
it's true. It's true. Like you saw the Cardinals beat the Cowboys.
yeah,
Right.
Any
Like,
given Sunday, week 1 Bills, we beat them even though we lost Rodgers. It's
Yep.
like anything can happen.
Totally. So moving on from that, it's gonna be a great game to watch. We'll be here next week to review it.
Yeah.
But there's a couple rumors flying around with this team right now with some of the injuries and stuff we got going on. Kind of circling back to the Broncos game, it was kind of a shock to see McCole Hardman and Carl Lawson inactive.
I know. Strange.
And to follow up with that, McCole Hardman, it was kind of announced today that the Jets are kind of shopping him and seeing to trade him. What are your kind of thoughts about that?
I think it's so. Well, I think we talked about it earlier today. Actually, I was just about to say it's so bizarre, but Gibson kind of took his role. Like
Because we thought he was going to be the return guy.
Yeah, he robbed his job. But the thing is, I'm gonna say this again for the millionth pod episode in a row.
Here we go.
I just want to see play 1, air it out to McCole down
Gibson.
the sideline, or Gibson, I guess, sure. Just air it
Yeah.
out. Anyways,
True.
the trade rumors are interesting to me because it was a 1-year deal, correct?
Yeah.
And it was like $6 million.
Something like that.
So I mean, like, this is part of the reason why Rodgers took a pay cut is he could sign guys like McCole and Dalv, and I guess we kind of struck out on both of them in a way as of now.
Yep.
So if we trade him, sure, whatever. I think maybe it's kind of stupid because it's like all it takes is a Lazard injury, a Garrett injury, and
I know.
suddenly like
We have to play
we
Brownlee
have
or
Randall
something.
Cobb as like our wide receiver too.
I know.
So it's like
It-
why trade him? You might
You
as well
s-
just keep him.
Yeah.
Like,
Like you see what the Vikings are at right now. You think they'd be happy to have Adam Thielen right now without
Totally.
Jefferson? Like
I feel like especially now that the rosters are all settled and your salary cap or your salary is like settled and all that.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to trade for someone else or something, there's no reason to trade him, I don't think. Like
this time of year is always interesting to me because you have all these teams that have veterans and star players, and they maybe started good or not so good, and so
Yeah.
we'll see which teams are buyers and which teams are sellers kind of as we're getting closer to the deadline here, which is week 8. So that'll be kind of interesting to see. I think if the Jets trade for someone, it'll be before the bye because then that gives them time to
true.
acclimate
True.
going into the Giants game
True,
after, which
yeah.
could be interesting. McCole, I totally agree that we should keep him. However, Carl Lawson, I think we can separate from him.
Oh, totally.
Love-
He's paid. How much do we owe him this year? 15 mil.
Something like that.
Like,
He
it's a
did.
lot
He
of
did
money.
he did restructure his contract. I don't know if he took a pay cut or not, but with the amount of depth, which is crazy to say as a Jets fan because it seems like we've never had pass rushers, but with the amount of depth that we have at pass rush, let's give Will McDonald and Bryce Huff some more touches. Looking into some more Bryce Huff stats, there's a stat that PFF shared of the most pressures this season. Aiden Hutchinson's at the top of 34. And then you have your Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, Chase Young, Nick Bosa, TJ Watt.
Those are some names.
Oh, who's sitting there at number 7? Let me just 1 second. Let me just Oh, Bryce Huff with 25 pressures, the 7th most out of all edge rushers
in the entire league.
But guess what? Wait, there's more. Our boy MYJ Matt did a little bit of extra research to help give some context, and he went through the snap counts of each player in that top 7 there. Max Crosby has 316, TJ Watt 299. The lowest out of those first 6 is Nick Bosa with 219. And Bryce Huff, the guy that has 2 less pressures than TJ Watt, has 112 snaps compared to the rest. So that just goes to show that, like, the team, when they are putting him on the field or putting him down out there in perfect opportunities for him to succeed, I just think, like, you look at that and you're like, give him more.
He might be like, I don't want to shoehorn him, but he might be like a one-trick pony, which is just attack. That's all he does is maybe just attack. But he might be legitimately
him.
He might be him.
Yeah.
He might be one of the best players in the league at doing that specific job. And it's incredible. What's his pass rush win rate this year? Isn't it like 30%?
I don't know. I can find that.
Like if I'm right, that means every 3 snaps that he plays, he's pressuring the quarterback on one of them. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Like, no one does that.
That is crazy.
Like, like when you're playing Madden and the guy has like the X factor activated, like one of the pass
the
rushers.
unstoppable one, and every time that's
Bryce Huff, man. He just has the X factor on.
I think Aaron Donald has that one.
Yeah, like
and you'll have like
monger or whatever.
has like 8 sacks in the second quarter. You're like, dude, I'm gonna
what?
turn off. It makes you turn off the game. That's literally what Bryce Huff was doing, man. Lastly, we talked about offensive line stuff. Last little talking point today is that the Jets worked out Lyle Collins.
Yeah.
Who did he play for previously? Do you know?
The Bengals.
Right.
And I don't know the other team. I think his last team was the Bengals, though.
Yeah. And then he got injured some of last year, I believe.
Yeah, he tore his ACL. Right?
There we go. But he's healthy now. He worked out with the Jets today. That would be absolutely exciting. We'll find out hopefully this week where he ends up. He does have a workout tomorrow with the Giants. Fingers crossed. He looks at those rosters. He looks at some Danny Dimes throws in practice and is like, man, maybe this isn't best for me. But I think that would be a great acquisition for this team, especially with the loss of AVT. If we didn't lose AVT, I'd probably be like, honestly, I like what we have.
Yeah.
But even if we rock with Max Mitchell for now and still bring him in, and like I mentioned before, having a guy ready to come out after the bye
dude,
would be a huge boost for this team. You can never have too many offensive linemen in this league.
Cannot. I like him. He's graded out well every time he's played. I mean, like, he's not a world beater by any means, but he's a body that
he's absolutely going to help this team.
You could arguably say he's plug and play. Like, you could say that. Like, you kind of just slot him in.
He's an average with the potential to be above average.
Yeah,
tackle.
totally.
Yeah.
Like, so
I'm curious to see if they do sign him, where that contract would look at, and where that would set the team back.
That could be the reason there's McColl trade rumors, is they need to free up some space for Collins.
That's a good connecting the dots right
yeah.
there. Yeah, maybe that'd be interesting. I mean, they just still have they have some room with the Corey Davis retiring and stuff. So
maybe they need to pay
have
him
a little bit of wiggle room.
$30 million to Collins for the year.
Yeah, crazy. So yeah, a lot happened this week with the Jets. It was honestly. These podcasts are so much more exciting and enjoyable to record coming off a win.
When I get to wear
some swag,
yeah.
I'm wearing a hat today, so no one can be like, "Oh, Cole's not wearing anything. He's a fake fan."
And you got your Jets undies on. I could see that.
Yeah, I'm actually. Funny thing, I'm wearing this Jets bracelet.
Oh, there you go.
My parents got it. They traveled like Mexico or somewhere hot, and people like sell like random things on the
like
beach.
the random trinkets.
Yeah, and so of course someone makes a green thing that says Jets, and they're like, "Yeah,
you
cool,
love to see
that,"
it.
which I do like it. So
I should get a choker, Jets.
Jets choker,
or like a pendant, like the Woody and the Jets. I'll get like a Jets logo.
Get our logo, the Jets of North logo.
Yes, I would do that.
from Aldo.
Or maybe I'll
Jeweler.
be like, what's her name? Nicolette, Zach's. How do you say her name? I don't even know.
Nicolette. I think that's how you say it.
Zach's girlfriend. She has like a little 2 pendant for him.
DM her and be
I'm
like,
gonna
yo,
do that. I'm gonna get a
where'd you
2.
order it from? I want the
Yeah,
same
like
one.
Etsy.
Etsy. I bet you Zach fucking went to Aldo Jeweler to get that done for her.
You probably did.
Or he went to Etsy. That'd be a smart move. Save that money,
Yeah.
man. But
Yeah.
and anyways, and with that, once again, that's another banger of episode here on the Jets Up North podcast. We thank you for joining us this week and every other week. We look forward to talking about the Eagles next week. Hopefully that game goes good. We're approaching the bye week, but we have a lot of stuff planned to discuss even during that. But until then, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Peace.
Peace.